And it wasn't until I was in my 50s, which is almost half a century ago now, that I went to the California Academy of Sciences in Golden Gate Park and into one of the rooms and saw items on the shelf that had special appeal to me, to my eye, because of the geometric shape and their overall pattern and their color. And I said to the man standing next to me, who did not know him, how wonderfully carved these have been. And he said, sir, he raised his eyebrows. He said, sir, if anybody carved them, it's God, the man upstairs. He said, these are not man-made objects. These are objects made by nature. These are natural objects called mineral crystals. I said, these have not been cut into their shapes? He said, no. I know whereof I speak. He said, I'm the curator here. And so I have a background and I know that I'm telling you the truth. I said, you're pulling my leg. He said, no, I'm telling you the truth. And he saw how fascinated I was. And we must have spoken for a couple of minutes because he said, you ought to get to know Dr. William Sanborn, who was with the Board of Education of San Francisco. He's the man who wrote the Sunset Magazine book, How to Collect Minerals and Crystals. And I met him. He was a fine-looking guy, much, much, much younger, maybe 2 generations younger than I. And we became fastest friends. He would take me to the San Francisco Gem and Mineral Show and show me in a tray of wolfenite crystals, which were flooding in at that time from Mexico, not by the dozens, not by the hundreds, but by the multiple thousands. How in a tray of 50 specimens, this one was the one to collect rather than the other 49. What the virtues were of a singularly fine mineral specimen. And I learned from Bill. And it was eventually built up a collection that's, much to my amazement, has achieved notice around the world.
It's a major collection, and it's recognized in the mineral world, and he won the Lidstrom Trophy. And that's for the best mineral specimen designated in a cabinet of minerals in competition in Tucson. And that's a major, major award. So that was real exciting for Jack.
And I have to add that even at this late stage of my collecting, I'm extremely ignorant, technical-wise. I don't know chemistry, I don't know geology, but I'm addicted to beauty, and that addiction is sufficient to bring the wonder that exists in this room into my life and into the life of any visitor who comes here.
Jack will admit he's more of the silver pick collector, which is, it takes a great degree of patience to be a serious field collector. And of course, the chances of finding something remarkable are slim and require enormous persistence. And in his case, he realized that he was better suited to be someone who purchased the minerals, and that in itself is a form of field collecting. Just determining which specimens are the most aesthetic, which are going to really grace your collection and bring it up another notch. So the different varieties of collecting.
You can go into a room with 1,000 minerals that are for sale, and he's juggling about 25 different traits. So he's very bright up here. He won't tell you that he's very bright, but he is, such as the cost, how much money he has to spend, the size, whether it fits into his collection at the time or not, the clarity, the color, the form, how it sits on the matrix, if there is matrix, all of these features and many more, the rarity, he's juggling in his head so that he hopefully comes away from that room either not making a purchase or making a sole purchase of the best one in the room.
Some people have asked, what element unifies all of the specimens in my collection, because many of them appear to be quite different from one way or another from one another. And I would say that, of course, the thing that accounts for them being on the shelf, on one shelf or another shelf, is the fact that when my eye alighted upon that specimen on a dealer's offerings, the light brightened. I saw something attractive. And so the monetary value of the specimen is not at all a major index in attracting me. Sometimes I'll group things, the same kind of thing, one to another, maybe even 3 or 4 or 5 of them, because of the impact that concentration of one kind will have. But then I'll surround that group with a group of a different color and different form to give the eye a relief. In creating this display, I want the eye to be pleased.
Very few people have a home display that is as elaborate or beautiful as Jack's. And one of the things he does that is unique in the mineral world is he has backlit cases. Some of the rows are backlit so that if a mineral shows transparency or translucency, and we've put the particular ones in front of that aspect, it just comes to life. You see through it. And I don't know of anybody else with a home collection other than, say, a museum that does that.
I try to make a thing of visual excitement and visual uncovering of the wonders of nature. And I try to make it as beautiful as I can, and that's a very subjective thing because one's idea of beauty may not coincide with someone else's idea of the same quality. But each mineral collection ought to be the fingerprint of the collector, ought to reflect, I would say, the fingerprint of the collector. And I hope that mine does.